have to revisit this. In any other scenario where Volk doesn't decide to go up, lose to the guy that's like the next pound for pound best in the UFC, Islam Makhachev, at a higher weight class, and then lose to the guy who just took over 145 in Ilia Topuria and then dipped to move up to the higher weight class, if that alternate reality, or if that real reality never happened, and we were in an alternate timeline, I think Volk would be like a minus 600 favorite right here, or something like that, man. Lopes is nasty, clubbing hands, sick jiu-jitsu. But how did we get here? Is that literally it? Just perception right here? Is Volk done because he lost to context taken out of the situation? What do you think?
I do think a lot of people are really looking into that, Derek. It weighs heavy on a lot of the bettors' minds going forward. But I agree with you. Like, but besides these situations that Volk has found himself in because he is forced to face the cream of the crop, anybody else, they're I don't want to say miles back, but they're pretty far back. Like, Volk has started to lap the division, and that's why we've seen these young and up-and-comers who are at that same point in their career be able to succeed. The thing is, Diego Lopes, I mean, as much as he is untested, that is still the opportunity that he has presented to himself and has a good shot of being that next guy to really do dethrone the one of the kings of the division, Alexander Volkanovski. And if it does happen, you know there's a lot on the plate for Volkanovski right here, man. If he loses to Diego Lopes, we might not see him, at least in a main card fight, for quite a while.
I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I think that the assumption people have is that he might retire. We might not see him entirely, not even like not outside of a main card, just in general. He might just call it quits because I believe it's safe to say that on this program, if you've done everything that you need, if you've locked in your Hall of Fame spot, there's no reason to keep fighting if you start losing the mojo. You know what I mean? But this is going to be the big test right here. Volk looks in good shape. He looks shredded, but Lopes has a notable size advantage here. And Lopes is huge, dude. Like 5'11", featherweight. Reach is comparable. He only has an inch reach, so that's not really something to be too concerned about. But he's got that slender man build, man. He's long, he's lanky, and he throws all of his shots big and looping that can lead to the big clubbing shots within that kind of clinch range. Volkanovski, some people are saying right now, he's scared to enter that pocket and do that because of the power that's coming back his way. But realistically, man, what does Diego Lopes need to do to put him in a vulnerable spot like Ilia Topuria did or like Makhachev did with the head kick? What does he have aside from just walking him down and throwing big shots? Because I'm going to give you my take, man. You give Lopes 1 or 2 rounds. If he does not get it done within those 2 rounds, I think that Volkanovski cruises to a decision. Everybody, all the hype just dissipates immediately. And people say, oh, yeah, that's right. Volkanovski is really good. What do you think?
I agree with you, Derek. The longer the fight goes, the better of an opportunity Volkanovski has to win this fight. But to answer your question, what I think Diego Lopes needs to do to be able to put Volk in that bad position is make sure you catch him when he's dropping that left hand. Fight after fight, these last 2 ones you're talking about, we've seen Volk, when he's throwing punches, he drops that left hand a little bit, and that's where everybody else is able to take advantage of it. So if Diego Lopes is able to start strong, start fast, put the pressure on him, let Volk get a little bit nervous and think, like, man, is this happening again? And then create those moments, cut those angles, find that opportunity to hit your big right hand while he's dropping his guard, and then get the fight to the ground. I see a club and sub all day long.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so we're taking that performance that Volkanovski had against Ortega and we're throwing that out the window. Like, that proved to us the guy before Diego Lopes, who was the biggest submission threat in the division, was Brian Ortega. 2 completely locked in submissions that he was able to escape. Are we throwing that out the window?
We're not throwing it out the window, Derek. All I'm saying is Diego Lopes might not be the best submission artist in the game, but he's a little younger. Volk's a little older. Things happen, and sometimes that fight in that dog, and I'm not saying it's not there, but I'm just saying sometimes when you snatch one up, Diego Lopes has proven to be an absolute killer in those positions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he seizes on opportunity. I think he's a bigger submission threat than he is a knockout threat personally, which is why when I take a look at these numbers right here, submission prop for Diego Lopes plus 700 currently tracking right now. I thought it was a little silly until you remember it's Volkanovski, though, dog. You know what I mean? Show me the times Volkanovski has been submitted. Like, you can't. It's not there. You know what I mean? It hasn't happened. So, again, this is championship metal versus raw untested still power, because the biggest win realistically that you can compare Lopes to Volkanovski is Dan Ige, Brian Ortega. Both. I mean, come on, bro. Talk, like, real quick. What's the biggest litmus test? This is the biggest step up in competition that we will see from like a title challenger in how long?
been a
That's
while.
it.
Like,
That's it.
yeah,
We don't know. That's the whole entire point, man. So I like your take, man. I think Lopez is a dangerous fighter. I think Volkanovski is a victim to context right now and just like recency bias. So I'm going to go Volkanovski, and I'm going to go a decision, which is going to make me. I want to talk about the totals really quickly. But before we talk about totals, what's your pick?
yeah, I'm going Diego Lopez, man, and I got to go with that submission. I mean, plus 700, which I agree with you is crazy because his TKO is plus 350. So that's another mention about how Volkanovski is being overlooked and what's happened to him recently. But I like the submission prop right here.
All right, nice. So the other play out here is the totals, right? So if you're undecided, if this is too tough for you, you don't know who to tail. When I tracked this earlier, 2.5 rounds was the over. It has moved to 4.5 now, even minus 115 a pop for the over for the under. So not as much value, but the 2.5 that I found, it was minus 260 for the over, plus 200 for the under right there. So if we're looking at like what does this mean in total, it just means that there's pure uncertainty now by the odds makers. It depends on the book that you got right here. But if you you're clearly, it's the same odds for both. It doesn't matter. You're taking the under. I'm clearly taking the over here.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. When numbers are like that, Derek, minus across the board, over and under, whichever fighter you think is going to be the victor, you got to go with their style. And I think Diego Lopez wins this one under 3 rounds. I like the under.
Fair. That is your championship pick right there. Contentious again. I'm going Volkanovski decision. AJ's taking the sub, Diego Lopez. And the added bet I'm going to throw on there is just if you're undecided and you want to rock with me, fight goes the distance. Plus 110 right there. There we go. Not quite even money, but you're just about right there.